So if you watch these kind of videos and you're on the internet looking for how to be a millionaire, how to make it online, it's an interesting one. You're probably wired different. And look, so right now I'm in a villa in Bali. I am going through a funk right now, and what I like to do when I'm going through a funk is escape and go back to core basics and focus on what I love, focus on reconnecting, realigning my mind. And this is therefore the video, because I want to explain to you exactly how to do the same. And we are also caught up on the online space. You go from guru to guru and you watch plenty of good people. There's usually a method to do something. You want to be a millionaire, do this. You want to focus more, do this. You want to ascend, do this. And it's always an addition perspective, but usually the leverage is in not adding, the leverage is in subtracting. The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Brilliant Alex Hormozy quote. And the magic you're looking for is usually in taking away things, not adding a secret pill, secret formula, secret this or that. I like to make videos for my younger self, and therefore, some of the content I make is for the game. It's for growth. It's for attracting a new audience. It's for helping people that are in a very specific spot in their trading. Other videos I make for myself that I enjoy making. And when I'm in a situation like this where I'm in a retreat or an escape, I like to do what I love, and therefore these kind of videos is what I really love. So the funk I'm feeling right now is we all have drivers in our life and we all have reasons we do things, and there's the obvious and then there's the not obvious. So the not obvious is going to be things you're probably not aware of, and unless you actively listen to yourself and understand yourself, you won't be aware of ever, because it's all on a subconscious level. For example, when you look around and see people are posting so much of their life, of success, of the cars they have, the life they live and so forth, that's only, unless it's generating them money because of a brand or something, it's only for validation and ego. And unless you start to unpack that and unveil that, you'll usually not know why you are doing certain things apart from the obvious. Now the obvious is, I want to make money, I want to grow, I want to be successful. Okay, so what happens when you make money? Which maybe for a lot of you is not a thought right now, but what happens if you make money? And when you make money, well, then it becomes a very lonely and eerie feeling, almost like lost, because you've achieved everything you were striving for. So now what? When money is no longer a driver, and of course you can buy more things and chase more financial and buy another watch and buy another car and this and that, but it's not going to drive you the same way that it used to. So then you usually are hit with a feeling of, okay, what keeps me going and why am I doing certain things? Because I still keep going. And therefore it becomes unpacking the subconscious and the not so obvious. And when I'm feeling this funk, I like to go back. Well, right now I just came to Bali. I got this villa, and it's a sick villa because I'm not on this trip to sightsee, do the typical Bali things, which I don't even know what it is, not to meet people, not to do podcasts, not to explore the cities. I'm going to stay in a villa, and I'm going to go. I booked this flight 2 days ago, and I flew 2 days ago. So I booked it on the day I flew. I don't know how long I'm staying. I don't know where I'm going to stay. I've booked this for a few days and then I'll go somewhere else, book something else. I have no plan, no agenda, apart from subtract. And okay, this morning routine was, I have a sauna here, I have a cold plunge down there, I have a gym there, and then like a 6-bedroom villa all to myself. 3 staff, a massage person, a driver. I'm not going to leave this villa. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to subtract from my life. And usually what people do is when they are looking online and looking to grow and be successful is, okay, I need to meditate, I need to journal, I need to cold plunge, sauna, I need to add. I need to focus on not watching pornography. I need to focus on so many things. And then you realize, okay, I need to do this red light therapy. I need to wear blue light blockers. I need to have a morning routine. I need to wake up at this time, sleep at this time. I need to go to the gym. I need to do this and that. And you get so overwhelmed. And humans only have a certain amount of willpower. So why would you exercise that willpower in adding things that are not going to be your work, and adding things that are supposed to make you feel better? For example, meditation and journal and affirmations. Why add in extra willpower usage, extra mental real estate use, extra time and effort, and not be in line with your goal? So when I'm in a retreat like this, I go back to core principles, and that for me is, I don't have any stimulants around me. So I'm not even drinking caffeine, which is a stimulant. I'm not taking I'm not playing video games, I'm not watching TV, I'm not doing anything like that. My retreat is kind of reconnect with myself, realign my mind, and get out of a roller coaster mind. Now, roller coaster mind is, how are you going to build anything meaningful? How are you going to become a trader? How are you going to build a business? How are you going to be a millionaire with a messed up mind? You're not going to. And right now, if you're a young man, which you probably are, because that's what my analytics tell me, you have a lot of insecurities, you have a lot of pressures, you have a lot of desires because of the people around you, your parents, and mainly the internet. The internet will make you feel like you're not good enough. And therefore, as a young, insecure man with terrible habits, you will never be able to achieve anything meaningful unless you have significant traumas, which is a subconscious, which I want to touch upon because these come back to bite you. And I never thought they would, but they do. So first of all is, before you start to save money and invest, you should probably pay off your debt. I'm using that as an analogy for your mind. If you get some weird anxieties throughout the day or the month, you get some weird depressions, you get some weird fleeting emotions, motivation comes and goes, it's because your mind is a mess. And the mind is a mess because you have a roller coaster mind. Roller coaster mind comes from stimulants, comes from dopamine, comes from sugar, comes from an overstimulated mind. And so therefore you need to reconnect, and that's what I do from time to time, reconnect to have a correctly stimulated mind. And usually when you've never wired your brain correctly, it's going to be out of whack and you're never going to find success because your brain is against you. So to pay off those debts, you need to cut out stimulants, cut out intoxicants. Second of all is overstimulation, and dopamine is the big one. Dopamine is going to be heavily stimulated by social media and TikTok and these things because they're designed to suck your attention and be glued to these apps through an addictive dopamine mechanism. The next big one is video games. Video games are literally designed to fire as much dopamine in your mind so you can be addicted to them and play them for hours and hours on end. And then the next big one is sugar. And sugar is going to be also an emotional roller coaster because you're going to have weird crashes throughout the day. Everything is going to be weird when you have these big three in your life: video games, social media, and sugar. These ones are going to rob you of any success because your brain is going to be out of whack. So first you need to go from debt to baseline. You need to cut out these three. And the reality is your brain cannot handle that much at once, that much change. You won't have the willpower to adhere to it long term. So I would say do it in a sequence. Number one is addictive things. So if you have intoxicants in your life like weed and alcohol, cut that first and focus on cutting that. Most of you probably or hopefully are not in that position. So then I'd say cut out video games and dopamine related things. That's going to be video games and it's going to be social media. If you can cut those things out and stop watching TV shows and movies and playing Call of Duty or whatever, you're going to have so much time, you're going to have so much motivation, your dopamine mechanisms, your frameworks in your brain are going to be correct. If you can't finish a page of a book, it's a sign you have a problem. And I remember at university I couldn't focus on my lectures. I couldn't finish one page of my book, of my studies, and I was thinking, how the hell am I going to pass an exam if I can't even read a page? Or you read a line and then you have to read it again because nothing went in. These are signs that your brain is messed up. That's not normal. But if you can correctly wire your motivation and dopamine, if you have correct dopaminergic responses, you can focus for an hour of deep work and not feel like the craving of having to look at your phone or switch tab or open up, all of these things. And I say that because I've been there. And when I feel overstimulated for whatever reason, a retreat is needed. And probably for you, a rewiring is needed. And to rewire, you have to eliminate, not add. So forget adding all of these protocols and monk modes and things you see online. Focus on taking away. And the moment you fix the big three, sugar, dopamine through video games and such like things and social media, if you fix these three, you'll have so much more time, energy, motivation, and correct frameworks that you'll be powerful. And the way I like to look at it is, we say like it's us against the market. I don't like to look at it like that. I like to look at it as me against someone else. And if I think it's a competition, which I know it's not necessarily like that. A strategy is a strategy, but I like to think who could outcompete me. And if I'm up against a guy who's just focused on, playing FIFA and playing Call of Duty, whilst having TradingView open, I will outcompete that person. If I'm competing with someone that's addicted to reality TV, Love Island and all of that, I will outcompete that person. But if I'm up against someone who's mentally resilient, they focus on their psychology, they focus on their traumas, they focus on their routines, I will, will struggle to compete with them. So you want to be that version of yourself that is impossible to compete with, and it's not for necessarily the markets, it's for having a paradigm shift where you're a bulletproof person. And seldom does success come from a combination of habits. It comes from a mindset shift and a rewiring, and the internet did that for me. And you start off with the motivational figures like a Tate and a David Goggins and all these kind of things. I know that's what everyone watches. That gets you motivated, that gives you a fire to get going, but then you need to actually stick and you need to actually learn deep things, and that's going to come from consuming the right kind of content, which is why I enjoy making these kind of videos, because it really makes a difference. And when you consume and consume and consume for months and years on end the right thing, and you eliminate the wrong things, your mind, by the way, you as a human, all you do is synthesize inputs to outputs. Those outputs will be behavior, those outputs will be emotions, and those outputs will be outcomes. And therefore, if all you can do as an individual is synthesize inputs to outputs, you better damn make sure your inputs are the best they can be. So if you're consuming the right kind of content consistently and continuously, and you're consuming the right kind of books and podcasts, do that for 6 months and you'll be a different person, because your emotions will be different, your behaviors will be different, your thought patterns will be different, your desires will be different, your expectations will be different. The level you hold yourself to will not be based on your friends and your peers and your school and parents. It will be based on what you see as excellence in the online world. And you open up your mind. That's why they say your network is your net worth. It's not because you can borrow money from a friend or you can start a business with a friend. It's because if your peers around you are all making $1 million, you will make $1 million, because you'll be like, okay, that's my standard, that's my expectation. I see how they do it. It breaks limiting beliefs, and you figure it out. So I think having the paradigm shift is necessary, and the internet can do that for you. But you got to take away a lot of crap first, pay off your mental debt, get out of a roller coaster mind, and then have a paradigm shift through consuming the right kind of stuff. And that's what this retreat is going to be for me. I'm going to subtract everything and only consume the right kind of content and listen to myself. And that's going to be part 2, which is your subconscious mind. And it's a little bit emotional to talk about. It's hard to talk about and it's hard to do, because think of it like shadow work. You've got to speak to your shadow self, and you've got to understand why you do everything and what are you chasing. Because, okay, we all chase money, sure, but first of all, it's not enough. Everybody wants to be a millionaire. No one chases for it. So it's not about the desire for money, because everyone has the desire for that. Usually we chase things for another reason, and right now you are too. You just got to figure it out. And we hold a lot of traumas. Life is very traumatic, and especially as a young guy going through high school, it's a traumatic experience. If you get bullied, if you get mocked, if you don't fit in. Me being a brown kid in a white school is a trauma. Maybe I don't hold it that strongly, but maybe I do. And there are certain things that I overlook that I should overlook, and there's other things I overlook that I shouldn't. So I know what are the traumatic experiences in my life that shape me and can affect my growth, and certain things I can disregard. Okay, I was a very shy kid, whatever. There's a bit of a trauma, but whatever. I wasn't good at public speaking, so I couldn't speak in front of my class. I got very nervous. I can overcome that. And it's not a big trauma. But there's other things that were very traumatic that I think I'm over, but I'm not. For example, my last year of university, I got COVID and I had this huge surgery exam. And the surgery for exam it's like doing your whole A-levels and GCSE all in one exam. The amount of content I had to learn, and it was retrospective content of, I had to make my first, second, third, fourth and fifth year of university all combined and then add on top. So if I forgot things in my previous 5 years, I would fail the exam because I have to build on top of things. So I had to go back and study so much, and I just couldn't handle it. It was so stressful. It was so much content. And by the way, I was trading then. I was making a lot of money then. I had a lot of pressures in my life. I was financially independent, paying my own tuition, paying my own life, and I had so many things going on. I just couldn't. This exam was I still get nightmares here and there. I've graduated years ago, but I still have these nightmares where I'm stressed about this exam, and I wake up with such relief that I'm glad I graduated. That was such a trauma in my life, because I didn't want to be in uni for another year, disappoint my parents, which was a big one. I didn't want to have my life be on halt. I just wanted to graduate and get through this, and it was so much content, it was so difficult, and I had COVID, so then I had to miss the exam, and then when I recovered, they put the exam day extra for me, and I was like, how the hell am I going to cram in a week, because graduation day is there, so they can only put my exam between when I'm done with COVID and graduation date. It was like a 1 week window, and I was like, how the hell am I going to study all of this when I've just had COVID for 3 weeks? I've been bedbound. There's so much content, and I was just so stressed. I literally had hair falling out. I had so much dandruff. I couldn't eat for the life of me. I couldn't eat. And I was just a mental wreck. That's the only period in my life where I think I've been depressed. I was just so overwhelmed with stress, and I could see it. It was a visceral response of stress, because I could see it in my habits, in my hair, in my thoughts. And wow, that was a consuming feeling, because I felt so lonely. I felt so alone. Even though I had people around me, I was literally living with my housemates. I felt so lonely. I felt so like a failure. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt so much emotion, and that's how the mind works. Basically, to say the mind is the be all and end all. If you can control your mind, you win. And now looking back at the mental position I was in then, I could not do anything. I was paralyzed, and I couldn't work. I couldn't think. And all of these emotions came to me. Anxieties came to me. Depression came to me. Feelings of loneliness came to me. Everything comes to you, and therefore I get why people end up in weird positions, mental funks, because you get consumed by life. And the road out of it, at the time, it was like I didn't know how to get out of it. But the way to get out of it was very simple. You just got to recapture your mind by removing and focus on the good things, and you'll get out of it eventually. I think a very reassuring statement for me is everything passes, and usually when it rains it pours. So when one thing goes wrong in life, it's usually not one, it's a bunch. And when something goes right in life, it's usually a bunch. So yeah, the reason I brought that up is because I have a few traumatic experiences in my life. Another big one was for me when I wanted to get into university. For me, when I was younger, my whole identity was based on university and getting into a good university and being a dentist. That's where I got my self-esteem, that's where I got my self-worth, that's where I got my relationship with my parents of achievements and like making them proud. Also for my own desire to be successful in life. It was through employment, it was through education, it was through a strong degree. And when you hold your whole self-worth onto that and your whole identity, no matter how hard you work, some things are out of your control. And in my case was, I had a university offer of 3 A grades. I needed 3 A grades on my A-levels. I took 5 A-levels and I needed 3 A's. And in the end, after studying like crazy, I got 1 A star, 1 A, 1 B. I needed 3 A's. I overachieved in the A star. A grade I got, and the third one was a B. I needed an A. And that B grade was 1 mark off an A, 1 point off. And I remember that threw me into wow. And again, I was 18, so my mind was not matured, but that feeling of everybody going to university and me being left at home, I feel like my life is stuck, me feel like everyone's continuing growing and I can't go to university, and I pegged my whole identity to I need to be a dentist and I need to achieve these grades. And I remember being on the phone to the universities, crying, begging. I was like, I got this A star, can that not compensate for the B grade? It's only 1 point. They're like, sorry, the requirement is 3 years, that was your offer. So I had to take a year out, a gap year let's say, to basically do this exam again to get 1 more point, which I got. So I ended up with 1 A star, 2 A's. So I got my offer. But wow, that one year I was just depressed, moping around. Okay, I traveled, I focused on a lot of other things, but now I look back and think, what was the rush in life? Why was I so worked up? If I had focused that year on building skills, if I'd focused that year on focusing on sales, focusing on reading, focusing on all these good things, I could have achieved so much in that year, and I wish I did. I did these things at uni, thankfully I did that, but now I encourage my brothers, take a gap year, don't go to university because it's a rat race, it's a treadmill of life, and take a year to learn so much other things, because these will bring paradigm shifts later on in life. So that 1 year became a blessing because it allowed me to go to Spain for university. It allowed me to have a different route in life, and it brought me a trauma that at the time served me, because it brought me another level of motivation. It brought me another level of I need to gain control, because I felt like I didn't have control of my life because of universities and the system. So it held a trauma on me. And I have other traumas in my life that I know hold on me. I think relationship to your parents is always a big one. Wanting to make them proud, wanting to fill their shoes, wanting to be enough. As a kid, all you want is the validation of your parents. All you want to do is make them proud, and mix that in with self-esteem issues that I had when I was younger. The high standards that I put on myself, wanting to achieve a lot. These, I think, are all traumas that carry on to me to this day, despite life being in a better situation. And the reason I'm opening up, which I never thought I would on the internet, is because you got to realize what's holding on to you, what is capturing you. I have more that I don't feel comfortable speaking about online, or just speaking about in general, that shape you. And these are cool in your like first year or so, because it's going to be like a fire. And on Titans of Tomorrow podcast, most of the guests I've spoke to that have achieved a lot, they're not motivated, and they're not running towards something. They're usually running away. A lot of them brush over the question, but I can read between the lines. Some of them open up and explain, but I think for most hyper successful people, it starts off by running away from something. We are all kids in adults' bodies, and I think that's a good way to look at it. We are all looking to soothe our kid brain, our little brain that is just insecure because we got bullied, our little brain that just wants to make our dads and mums happy, and we just got to tell them, hey, it's okay. You know, we're all running away from something and a trauma we hold. And I want you to pay off your mental debts, get out of a mental roller coaster, so that you don't have weird crashes during the day, you don't have weird anxieties, weird depressions. You are bulletproof in the mind, and that's not by addition, that's not by adding things to your life, it's by taking things away. And then this fuel you will have of running away from something, use it. I know it's not the most healthy thing, but use it because it's strong, and it will get you to a good position. But you also got to be aware of it, address the elephant in the room and look at it and learn to deal with it, which I'll speak about in another video. Look, you will always reach ceilings in life, and the ceilings you reach is because you're not willing to sacrifice to break through. We can all be a billionaire, but not many of us can sacrifice enough and put in enough to achieve it, because you might be content enough at 10k or 100k. If you start making $1 million a year, most of you will start to chill and enjoy life and not continue to sacrifice and put in more. So this video is not necessarily for trading. It's more for, say, like when I used to consume a lot of content, and I think the internet made me who I am, made me achieve the things I have achieved, is because I consume the right things. And I want that to be you. and I want to be a pillar of that. I want to put out good content that is useful. And of course I have my YouTube videos that are to appeal to the masses. But if you're sitting through an unfiltered video like this, if you continue to watch videos like this and content that is of this effect, your goal is to have a paradigm shift, and you can't have a regular mind. There's so many matrices in life. You have the matrix that you hear Tate and stuff speak about, but you have a matrix of yourself. You have a matrix of your behavior. You have a matrix of your desires. You have a matrix of food. You have a matrix of entertainment, capitalism, and consumption. You have a matrix of social dynamics, friends. We are social creatures, so perception of other people, of you, is real. That's a matrix. There's so many matrices that you will encounter, and you will just be a trapped rat in a cage. And you'll have a path in front of you that you will follow, not because you want to, but because all of these pressures and matrices will guide you there. The more of these you can break out from, the more you'll be true to yourself, the more you will achieve. And fulfillment comes from that, because achievement of a goal is not what brings fulfillment. It's the process, it's the journey there. And therefore you want to live a life that you love. And I live a life that I love now. It's not for the reasons I thought when I started off, which would be I can make money and live in Dubai and la 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 and have fancy things. It's because I can wake up whenever I want. I can not work for a week if I don't want to. I can be obsessed for a month and not speak to anyone if I want to, and I do that. If I want to run off to Bali, decide in the morning, fly in the night, and get a massive villa to myself, just a retreat, I can. That's freedom. Money is cool, buying the watches, which I do all the time, and all these lifestyle things is cool, but when you escape the matrices or try to escape the matrices, these are all fun things, but a watch doesn't bring me happiness. It's a status tool. Freedom is happiness, and building is happiness. Building yourself to a better version, building a company, building yourself as a trader. It doesn't matter, trust me, if you make 50k or 500k in a month, which I've done both, the money is not, whether you made 400 or 500 or 50 or 80, it's not the money that's the difference. It's like you're playing GTA and you're unlocking characters and you're unlocking achievements. It's that feeling of building and growing and not having limitations on your mind. And I find a lot of pride and a lot of enjoyment in knowing I'm not an average person, knowing I don't have an average mind, knowing I'm wired different. I love that I'm curious. I love that I can just hear about something and then read about it for a whole night because I want to figure it out. I love that I'm obsessed with information. I love that I'm obsessed with figuring how things work. And I see people walk through life and not have a clue about anything, and they're so okay with it. And they're just would rather watch TV. I love that I have this temperament, that I can handle so much stress, that I can be void and detached from my emotions, which I know is not healthy, which I'm trying to work on. But it's powerful because I feel very liberated when I can learn as much as I want and figure out as much as I want and work as hard as I can and have the stress tolerance that I can manage and really pass off my emotions, because then you can really grow. I'm speaking and speaking, and if you're still watching, thank you. Now let me bring something valuable to the table. If you really want to be rich, if you really want to grow, if you really want to build big things, if you really want to be a true 0.1% person, whatever that means to you, by the way, whether that's financially, whether that's life setup, whether that's freedoms, whatever it is, man. If you want to do these things, focus on these few things. Pay off your mental debts, meaning any limitations you have on your mind, take away and then add. Take away addictions, take away dopaminic issues, take away stimulants, and don't have a hyper-stimulated mind, because you'll be better than 99% of people, trust me. If you can cut out social media, video games, sugar, and anything that's addictive, you'll have a better mind than everyone else. You'll be able to focus more, learn more, grow more, serendipity more. That's a big one. Have a curious mind. Whoa, if you can clean up your mental state and then have a curious mind, it's like growth on steroids. If you can then have a stoic mind, not have these depressions and anxieties and emotions, and your day is dependent on how you woke up, your day is dependent on who messaged you. If you can have a high stress tolerance and do good things and have a not fucked up mind, and then you just got to choose a path in life, which I've spoken about at length in the unfiltered videos, the vehicles in life you should have and how you should build your life in a career. But the main thing is pay off your mental debts and then have a curious mind and consume and be a sponge of good material, good content. Because if you can read a book a week, watch one podcast a day, and watch like a couple of YouTube videos a day that are of quality, and you do that for 6 months, you will be a different person. And once you've synthesized these inputs, you will have emotional differences, behavioral differences, your thoughts will be different, and therefore your life will start to shape and manifest in a different way. I know it might sound fluffy, but trust me, if you can have a different mind to the way you have now. I look back at my 18-year-old mind that was so caught up in the matrices of school and education and impressing people and having a respected career and the rat race of life. that 18-year-old boy mind that I have, I go back to him now as a mental exercise, and I tell him, bro, it's okay. Do these things instead. And I know I've done these things now, but that's a healing process. That's shadow work. When you can go back to the kid version of yourself that's holding trauma and is so caught up on whatever, and telling him, hey, it's okay. And that's what I want to do for you. If you're a young man who doesn't understand life, who is mentally fucked up, who has all these pressures and matrices, I want to tell you it's okay. Focus on these few things. And bro, trust me, doesn't matter if you don't make any money for the next 5 years. It doesn't matter if you're still working a job. It doesn't matter if you're still at university for the next 5 years. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter what you do. But if you can change your mind, if you can change your behaviors, if you can synthesize better inputs, you'll go on to be rich. It doesn't matter if it's in 5, 10 or 15 years. You'll go on to build a big business. You'll go on to be a great trader. You'll go on to do whatever you want. If you as a young man can solve your mind, you'll just be different. And when you have a different mind, it unlocks so many things that I wish I could explain to you. The butterfly effect of having a correctly wired mind. You will resonate with different type of people. You will build relationships with different type of people. You will attract the different things into your life. You will chase different things in your life. You will desire different things in your life. And obviously we chase our desires. So if you have different desires, you're going to work different. You're going to choose different career paths. Your entertainment is going to be different things. Your hobbies are going to be different things. And everything is downstream of a correct mind. And whatever you can do, fix your mind, because it'll fix your life.